Okay, sorry about that. I had to go do something really quick, so I had to jump off for a second. All right, let's see. Where were we? It has come to be known as a place of the underworld and exists because of a wager made long ago. What was the wager you made?
That is a long story. One that began over 3,000 years ago and continues to this day. You see, long ago, my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars. We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric.
So he's like an alien?
Destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. Yet Proserpina saw raw potential in you, and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on mankind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. He would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium. No exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting.
Wow. Who are your kin?
There were also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader, Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina.
Who built the city?
As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before, made same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten.
How did you decide who
To
comes?
ensure the wager was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens fashioned from silver, a rare element at the time, across all of Sumer. Whoever
Sumer's
died while in
Earth, right?
Possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place, with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's Oval, or as coins for the ferryman. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for. Only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind will have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Persepolis along with it.
How did humans learn about the underworld?
It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer, and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people, on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh. His words were twisted and distorted over generations. Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place, in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning. In a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles, 2 kings named Sisyphus and Theseus, a poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth. Of course,
Are you responsible for the Golden Rule?
that is merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing.
Why turn people into gold?
That is a story dating back to the very first wave. After the Sumerians finished building their city, the self-declared ruler threw a banquet to celebrate. Now this man was unmarried, and many women were vying to become his wife, a prestigious position of power and influence in a new world. Of all the women, 2 were particularly ambitious. Both were beautiful, and both arrived at the banquet wearing eye-catching dresses and painted faces, their hair woven in elaborate fashion. The first woman, recognizing that she would require an advantage to win the ruler's affection, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces, bracelets, and rings fashioned from gold. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second woman grew envious, for she had no such jewelry at her disposal. She prayed aloud to any gods that would listen to cover her in gold. And when her prayer went unanswered, she took matters into her own hands. While the others indulged at the banquet, the second woman summoned the first for a discussion in a quiet place. She checked that nobody was watching, pushed her rival from the top of the ziggurat where she broke her neck from the rocks below. But I was watching, and I decided to answer her prayer. I took the golden bow left behind by Diana. I shot that woman in the heart, covering her from head to toe in a layer of molten molten gold. And I left her to stand there, that she might serve as a grim reminder of what befalls those who sin in my domain. But that was not enough, for the entire city was tainted by her sin. The wager could no longer be won. So I had no choice but to wipe the slate clean. I gilded them all to make way for a new wave, and began the wager again. And to this day, each of them, and all that came after, line the halls of this city, inanimate but conscious, suspended in time with only their sight and hearing preserved, so they may bear witness to and lament the folly of your kind for eternity, the silent golden sentinels.
So you're responsible for destroying all these
I
lives.
give your kind a second chance at life, as well as ample warning about my law. And when you disobey, and you always disobey, you force my hand, bringing terrible suffering upon yourselves. And so you ask if I am the one destroying your lives. And I say, no, you destroy yourselves. I am merely the means by which you do it.
Where did these golden bows
When my
come
kin
from?
departed, they left behind many relics which I inherited. A consolation prize of sorts. The golden bow originally belonged to one of my kin, who the Romans called Diana. As my collection of golden statues grew, I chose the most ferocious among them, and equipped them each with a duplicate of her bow, and tasked them with hunting down the Forsaken at my behest. They became known simply as Furies.
What do you consider a sin?
I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make him do. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not?
That principle is not as easy to apply as it sounds. It doesn't seem like you've been upholding it either.
Enough. You clearly know nothing.
How do you know when people sin?
I'm able to commune with all of the statues in the city. Their ears are my ears, and their eyes are my eyes.
Is Proserpina connected to the statues in the same way?
If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not. Why do you ask?
No reason.
Then what an odd question.
I've seen some terrible things here that you didn't consider a sin. How could you let them
Do you
happen?
plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example?
Suicide, prosgouging, a scam, debt bondage, experiments on the golden statues, abduction. Yeah, take your pick.
I've seen no such thing, but in any case, taking one's own life is a self-directed act. It is not one that is done to others, however they may be affected by it. Therefore, it cannot be said that one who commits suicide has done anything unto others.
That seems like an extremely literal interpretation of the rule.
Applying this rule always requires us to interpret the meaning of the words. The literal interpretation helps to minimize the ambiguities of your primitive language.
If our language is full of ambiguity, doesn't that make the rule inherently subjective and unreliable?
Supposing you are right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want?
I am right and you know it.
Then your desire to be right outweighs your desire to survive. You will make a fine statue.
Alright. I guess we're gonna battle.
Do you really think you can wound me, a god, with that primitive weapon?
You may be immortal, but your beloved isn't. Let's find out, shall we?
Pathetic.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Where's the... Okay, I took the crown. What do I do? Shoot him? Rewind time and show Pluto you have
You will suffer.
Ah! Alright. We gotta get out of here. Oh boy. Oh, okay.
I can't believe this is how.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Alright, here we go. Go back in time.
Salvage. You look. All right. Oh.
Alright, he'll go take care of that. And then for us, I think we can get up there if we go this way. Gotta get back to Pluto. Oh. We could have used that rope to get over here a lot quicker during that escape, by the way. Whoops. Alright, so we can go back in here now. I gotta do all this all over again. Alright, it's this first one I think is Pluto. Yeah, the next one is Hades. And then we do Osiris. And this one. Okay.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. Nergal to the one, and I've been, and what is more, you cap that there will be time first, as a reward for.
See this? It's Proserpina's crown.
I would recognize that anywhere, and yet my beloved still wears hers. What is this? How did you come by it?
I took it from her after I killed her in another timeline.
You vile, despicable creature. Why would you do such a thing? And worse still, both boast about it.
She told me to. I didn't want to kill her, but if you don't put it into the golden rule, I will do it again. I could do this all day and the golden rule, or I will.
You have put me in an impossible position.
Checkmate,
If I
buddy.
refuse, you will murder her. And yet, if I agree, I will lose my wager and return to Elysium humiliated and alone.
That's about right. Well, what's it gonna be?
I do not see that I have a choice in this. Your treachery and savagery have opened my eyes like nothing I have witnessed in 3,000 years. And now you have shown me your species' true colors. And I see that Persephone was a fool to have ever believed in you at all. This has gone on too long. It's time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend.
Why can't we go?
Because despicable creatures like you have no place there. My king would never allow it. The best I can do is return to the land of the living. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry you others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest.
Why?
Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You had best pray our paths never cross again, mortal.
Oh.
And this
Hi
is-
there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Well, know who you are. Oh,
Okay, we've seen all this dialogue already.
Foiling and so on. Meanwhile, and the doors just nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus.
Whoops,
Because
I
the
did
next
skip
thing
some
he knew,
dialogue.
The ground shook, and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him, and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years?
Actually, that was me.
What? Oh, I see. For a moment there, I thought you were serious. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
Right behind you.
I'm gonna pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else has ever... You go on.
Alright, and this would take us to Karen, who we've already talked to as well. There she is.
You're back. But
I found him.
why do
I discovered you're not who you said you were. I remember meeting you 2,000 years ago.
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions.
Who are
You
you?
can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I do not enjoy deceiving. That
We've
mo-
seen all this.
That you died, of course. You were dead when I brought you here.
Yep.
My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld. Most ask your... As a near you both that man you were... It means I am now. There is no. I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we found. The ruins of a long-forgotten city. And there was a tablet describing an oracle who confronted a god and undid an ancient curse.
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing all about it. But you two look exhausted. Why don't you hop in my...
Sounds good.
And you?
Okay. And that's the Hercules ending. So, oh, 1 year later. Okay. We're in a museum.
Hey, you made it. It's great to
It's
see you.
Al
again.
Worth.
I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius' tablet. And I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
Okay. Wait, what?
Oh, there he is.
It's you.
You're finally here. Remember me?
Galerius, what are you doing
It's
here?
a crazy story. After you disappeared, Charon appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Oh, I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every night. I'm finally my own man, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
You're with Aquisha now?
I know! I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. We're planning to get married next spring. If you're gonna be around, we'd love to see you there.
I'd love that. Count me in. It's good to see you again,
Of
Galerius.
course, there's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you, so you better keep moving. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
Wow. All right.
It's you.
Let me pause it really quick. I will be back a little bit later to talk to the rest of these people. All right, let's talk to everyone else here.
You're here. It's lovely to finally meet you. Galerius told me all about you.
Good to see you too, Aquisha.
So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess, you realize you've put me out of work. I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable.
What are you doing with yourself these days? How's Livia?
Galerius
try
and
both
I
of these.
are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely
Jeez.
villa in the countryside with room for a large family, and Dooley too, of course. It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn, and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for us, for all of us.
Everyone's just on cloud nine, living in the present. How's Livia?
Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, she's here somewhere, if you'd like to ask her yourself.
I certainly think I will do that.
See you at the wedding, I hope.
I'll be there. Alright, Dooley.
Hello, I'm Dooley.
I remember who you are, Dooley.
Galerius said you're very nice and a big helper. Thank you for getting us out of the bad place. I didn't like it.
What are you doing with yourself
I
these
live
days?
at Galerius and Equitia's house. They look after me now and help me remember when I forget things, like brushing my teeth.
Right. Sorry you never found your treasure.
Treasure? Oh, I forgot about that. I like my box now. Galerius got me a box that tells stories. It's my favourite thing.
Box like a TV? Story boxes, aren't they great? I'm glad you're happy. Wait,
Treasure?
let me pick the other option.
Yeah, they're fun.
Alright,
Bye-bye.
see ya. What's a story box? Relief of Persephone. Horatius. Nice get up.
Hi there, I'm Horatius.
Hi,
I
Horatius.
understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life, and reuniting Scintilla with us as well. So, thank you.
What are you doing these
I'm living
days?
up north and studying in the military academy in Modena. I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed a lot, but some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca. Still, I have to keep challenging myself to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace the new. As Seneca wrote, the ones who pioneered our paths aren't our masters, but our guides.
I'm sorry you never got to see your girl again.
Ah, you remembered that. Thank you. I grieved for a time, but that's done. In the words
Honestly,
of
I forgot.
Epictetus, as those who rode behind triumphant generals remind them they are mortal, remind yourself your precious one isn't one of your possessions, but something given for now, not forever.
Well said. Whatever happened to your buddy Domitius?
He's not my... Oh, I see what you did there. Good one. He had more trouble adapting than most. He got himself disqualified from the UFC, so he started some kind of underground blood sport tournament, like we had in Rome. Suppose it appealed to people's baser instincts. And they say he made some good coin, killing a bunch of men like that. But his luck finally ran out, and his life along with it. You know what they say. Live by the sword, die by the sword.
That's a shame.
Perhaps.
It was good to see you again.
And you. Farewell.
Yeah, bye. Alright, who we got
Hey.
here? Oh god.
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you.
Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I didn't want to be associated with Sentius after what happened. I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, Proserpina emerged from the Great Temple. She knew right
What?
away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time. But he's been dealt with. He's... you know what? The important thing is, we'll never see him again.
So what are you doing
Anything
today?
I want.
Or these days?
I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. I can go wherever and do whatever I please. Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me, because it's just awful out there. Barbarians everywhere.
Okay. What happened to Sentius?
He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Trapped in a metal shell, slowly losing his mind until the end of time. Eternal torment. Just what he deserves, if you ask me.
He did once tell me he wanted to live forever.
Then I suppose he got his wish.
All right. Good
You
seeing you.
too. See you around.
Well, she was a lot friendlier than I remember.
Evening.
Cavalry helmet. Who's this guy? Hello.
You're the Oracle, right?
Chris is fine.
Oh, of course. Sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you for telling Galerius how to save my life. And of course, getting me and all of us out of a terrible situation.
What are you doing with yourself
Oh,
these
I
days?
barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying English at university. Eventually, I want to travel the world and write about it. Turns out, it's about 30 times bigger than the Roman Empire ever was. Did you know there are entire continents Rome never knew existed? And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which is rather like flying on a Pegasus, but much more comfortable. Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I'm just so excited. There's so much to see and learn and write about.
Seeing the world through fresh eyes sounds wonderful.
I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that. One day.
Jeez. Whatever happened to Malleolus and Claudia?
Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire, and wound up being committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for Claudia, she was always so viciously unhappy. Someone said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink herself back to the underworld. After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... what's that German word? Schadenfreude?
I don't know what that is. I think you're allowed to feel that way. Sounds like they got what was coming to them.
I couldn't agree more.
Whatever happened to Aurelia?
Ugh. Someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high life from now on. Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently, he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some exotic place called... what was it? Nigeria? Some people have all the luck.
Oh my god. Alright. Don't worry, something tells me she's going to get what she deserves. As the Oracle, I foresee terrible disappointment in her future.
Really? I feel better already. Thank you.
It's good to see you again.
You too. If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go to bars and drink wine and listen to the stories of the 9 million people who live there.
Ugh. I'll take you up on that.
I hope so.
Lucretia?
You are here. It's nice to finally meet you.
Hey!
Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We are all trying to keep a low profile. If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago, they'd never leave us alone. Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person. I'd say the gods smile on you, but I hear you drove the last of them off. So...
what are you doing with yourself these
I'm
days?
studying to get into medical school. As much as I resented the responsibility of keeping everyone in the city alive, when it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll just keep saving the world, if begrudgingly, one patient at a time. You too, don't be a stranger.
Oh, they didn't have much for her. Oh no. Do I want to talk to Georgie? Oh boy. Alright. Here we go.
Greetings. You must be the legendary Oracle. It is a sincere privilege to finally make your acquaintance. I am Georgius.
I know.
I am told we have you to thank for freeing us from Hades, and for that, I am most grateful.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I am reacquainting myself with Greece. It has changed so much over the last 2,000 years, I barely recognize it. This is at once heartbreaking and thrilling. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced off against the fearsome god of the underworld and won.
Consider me there.
You too, my friend.
Oh wow, he kept it short. That's
Hello.
amazing. This lady, I mean, what is there to discuss with her?
You're the one we've been waiting for. I'm Fabia.
Hi.
I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you knew, but I would have been crushed by that shrine for sure.
You're welcome.
I'm just so happy to be here with you and everyone together again, even if it's just for one more night.
What are you doing these days?
It's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants. What a time to be alive.
Alright.
Oh, it really is. You too.
Yeah, I figured there wasn't going to be much dialogue there. They didn't really do much with her during this story. Oh! Look who it is.
I take it you're the oracle everybody's talking about. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
We met before, though I wouldn't expect you to
We
remember.
have. I'm sorry, I don't remember. In any case, I'm Philip. I never thought I'd leave that cave, let alone the city. And now I'm living in the 21st century. What a time to be alive. And it seems I have your catabasis to thank for it.
Catabus? What?
I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge University, helping fill the odd gap in their knowledge. Not that I need the money, but I do love being around enlightened minds again. My sincere thanks once again.
Philip. I still don't know who that's supposed to be. What? Oh my
soiree, innit?
god.
Oh, hello at last. You must be the oracle I've heard so much about. I'm Dacius.
Hi.
Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all those useless old relics I accumulated. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Thank you.
No need to thank me. It was entirely unintended.
Such acerbic wit. I love it.
What are you doing
I
these
took
days?
the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market. That's where the real money is now. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice, you being the oracle and future seer and all that, on which stocks I should invest in next. I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. What would you recommend?
What? I can't really see the future, I'm afraid.
Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Dacius. I won't take no for an answer.
DVD rentals have a bright future. Broadcast television is going to be the next big thing. Print media is going to make a huge comeback. Let's go with DVDs.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go home and buy up as much stock as I can tonight. I'm going to make a bloody fortune. Of course, don't let me keep you. Thanks again for the tips, my friend.
Who do we
Good
got
evening.
Oh,
hello.
Octavia.
Lovely to meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Oh, wait, this isn't who I thought it was. Octavia was the indentured servant.
I'm thankful that you're here. I was sure the person who drove off the last pagan god would have more important things to do than visit the likes of us. But thank you for coming and for saving our lives. What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it.
Right.
I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a crisis counselor. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him.
Sounds like a noble cause.
Thank you.
That means a lot. And you? Oh, and I hope this isn't too forward, but some of us are going out for a drink after this, if you'd like to join us.
Oh. Join us or join you? Sounds good. I'm in.
Wonderful. I'll see you soon.
Hey, hey. This is the person I was looking for, Livia.
Greetings.
Good to see you looking well, Livia.
Thank you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while. At least until I'm well enough to be independent again.
Read any good poems lately?
Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but that's all right. I have 2,000 years worth of poetry to catch up on now. I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe. I think I may have found a kindred spirit. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence.
Well said.
And you. Farewell, friend.
Alright, well, she's doing okay, all things considered. Oh! Alright, Kabosh. He may have killed you in one timeline. But in fairness, you tried to kill me too.
Finally meet you, Oracle.
Thanks.
You know my name? Oh, of course. You are an Oracle. You know many things. I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place, and for your role in bringing us here. This world is truly wondrous.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but they have no need of another fisherman, and I came to see there is nothing for me there. Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world. It is a great adventure, and I have met many people from many cultures. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun.
Sounds like you earned it.
Indeed. Thank you, Oracle.
Alright. No acknowledgement of you made things a little difficult for me there, but that's fine. Okay, we got 4 people here. Who's this?
Hello there.
Hi.
Oh, I go by Gabriella now. I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name. After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming to him.
Sounds like he got what he deserved.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with yourself these
I'm
days?
living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I dreamed it would be. I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with us. If you're ever passing through the region, I hope you'll come and visit us. You can try some of our very own wine.
Yummy.
Thanks. You too.
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius. I understand I have you to thank for sending Galerius to save my life. The way you just showed up out of the blue and stopped me from making a terrible mistake. I'll be forever in your debt. I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. It'll be a little while before we know what we're doing, but every day I look at her and this extraordinary new world with all its beauty, and I think, what if I'd given up hope? Missed out on all of this. So we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way, sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now. and watching the sun set over the rolling hillside. And I couldn't be happier. Thank you.
Glad you're happy.
I wouldn't be here without you. You too.
Okay, who we got left? We got, oh, Rufius.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you too. You too.
I go by Rufus now. New start, new name. Oh, and thanks, by the way, for what you did. Sorry, I'm no good with the mushy stuff.
It's fine. What are you doing these days?
I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern.
Wait, what?
Destroyed in the war, and it rebuilt itself. Good place for a fresh start. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with my life yet. One adjustment at a time.
That's hilarious. Okay, so he's with Virgil. Yeah, and we saw that that thing. It was like a penis in his room. So put two and two together. He was the one going after Virgil, but turns out he was he had the same sexual preference. Turns out you were right. The statues really were watching us.
Good to know. Anyway, it was good practice for the new world. Security cameras and smartphones everywhere. Got to stay vigilant.
Right. Don't worry, he'll get used to it.
You too. Look us up next time you're in the Netherlands. We're grateful.
Okay.
It's so nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Good
I
to see
wanted
you.
to thank you personally for getting us out of there. And for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow.
What are you doing these
I'm
days?
studying to be an architect again, and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam. Just down the river from Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets, full of educated, accepting people. You natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you are. You too, as Rufus said in his own laconic way. If you're ever in the Netherlands, we'd love to show you around. It's the least we could do.
Evening.
Okay. Anyone else? We've got Al over there. Go talk to him.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Hell yeah.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time.
I recognize that voice.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention.
You were whispering to me all along?
Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected.
You did what you could, thank you. You created time?
I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. So I whispered to Sentius in secret, telling him the prayer required to create a portal in my shrine. I knew the danger of humans being corrupted by godly power, and so I put a safeguard in place. I required the creator of the portal to sacrifice their own life, so that it could only be used selflessly to help others. What I did not anticipate is that Sentius would retain his accumulated memories from each previous day, and as a veteran soldier, he had long since shed his fear of death. He quickly discovered that he could, in effect, prolong his own life indefinitely by exploiting the cycle. Of course, once I had taught him the prayer, I could not unteach him, and there was little I could do but wait for someone like you to come along and see him for what he was. We were all fortunate you came along when you did.
What became of Pluto?
I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way.
Became a Karen.
Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day.
Nice meeting
And
you.
you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city?
Oh, snap.
Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.
That's awesome. That was the 4th ending, and that was definitely the best. I really like that. I mean, that's really it. I could do the other 2 endings, but I mean, that ending felt like a good way to go out on. I really enjoyed that game. It was a lovely game in that, yeah, you know, there wasn't a lot of action, but the story was so well constructed. The characters who you were introduced to, you actually cared about them. They weren't just some random anonymous NPCs that you'd forget. There were some in there who, you know, they really stuck with you. Their story, their personality, the people that they got to do the voiceovers did a great job. Really good. And it was a beautiful ending. Putting together the pieces, figuring out the mystery, it was sort of a maze in a way. Like, it wasn't too difficult to figure out what to do. And you just had to find your way around the maze and help these people. And, you know, eventually you got to face off against this god and beat him. And there's time travel, and I love time travel. So, yeah, I think this is a game. It'll stick with me. I would definitely recommend it. And it's kind of sad that it's over, to be honest. I wish there was more. And if the creators of this game, they decide to make something else, I will definitely pick it up and play it. Even, again, if, you know, it is mostly a dialogue heavy game, that's fine. I think that's okay. And I think that's what I learned playing this, is that I don't need constant action. I don't need Call of Duty, constant just in your face, run around, shoot, kill people, whatever. I think I'm the the type of person that you just give me a good story and you help me connect to the people in that story, then I'm all in. I will sit, I will play your game, I will watch your movie, I will take in your art if you give me a good story to follow and really help me sort of connect to what the message is that you're trying to tell, or the people that are in it. And bring it back to that, you know, I think the people in in this game, they felt genuine because they weren't perfect. None of them were perfect. They all had their individual issues that they were dealing with and coping with, and they needed your help to work their way around what those issues were. So it was nice, you know. It's nice to be presented with something, a game, a story, whatever, where it is realistic, the plights that you're dealing with. You're not dealing with some and I say that, I mean, there's time travel, there's a god that you have to destroy, but at its core, this game was about people, and I think they told the story beautifully with each of these individual people. So that's my thought on it. That's the Forgotten City. I think I'll end the video here, and man, great game. Loved it. Thanks for watching, everyone.